Today I am showing you this Thinking of You card, which on the inside, as you pull it up, says get well soon. This is called a pull-up card, and I have a template to show you exactly how to make this and some beautiful papers and embellishments as well. So stick with me and I'll show you how. Today I will be working with 4 main products. We have the Thistle Stickles, which is a glitter glue, and it's a really pretty shade of pink. It matches these papers here. And then we have the Daydream ribbon set, and this has 6 ribbons in it. I think they're each about 3 feet long. Then we have the pull-up card template by Teresa Welch, and it has this interactive pull-up card on it, and you can use it to make your card from pretty much any cardstock, which is cool. And then the star of the show is the Daydream Artful Card Kit. And this comes with 6 pattern sheets of paper, seen here. Just a quick glimpse. I'll give a more thorough showing at the end in the bundle video segment. And then we have the sheet of cutouts and greetings, and 3 sheets of beautiful thick die cuts. And these are in all shapes and sizes, as you can see. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, now I'll get started showing you how to use the template. Alright, and the template, as always, has the complete instructions plus some tips. So that's really helpful, but I'm just going to go through this really quick. The neat thing about this template is that it's super easy. There's only 2 pieces to this card, and all you need to do is score and fold some lines. And you need some double-sided adhesive or a nice glue stick. So I'm going to start by using black cardstock, and it's one of the other neat things is that you can use any color cardstock with your templates. And you can even use holographic cardstock, you can use glitter cardstock. There's some really neat, pretty looks that you can make with this. So I'm just going to line up my template with the edge of my cardstock here. And I'm going to trace around this shape. Now, once I'm done tracing the outer shape, don't forget to trace these fold lines. Very important to know where those folds are going to go. And once you've done tracing, with tracing the main card shape, you're going to trace the other piece, which is the pull-up piece. And then there are also patterns on here to cut out some of the main areas to cover the pull-up card. Alright, so I've got my 2 pieces cut, and now I'm going to score them. Now, usually when I show you how to score, I'll tell you to take your craft knife and a metal edge ruler, place it on the line, and simply take the back of your blade and drag it along the ruler. And that works perfectly fine, but I wanted to show you another way, and it makes a little bit different kind of score line. And this is my scoreboard. Now, this particular brand, Paper Wishes, doesn't carry, but they do carry the Trim and Scoreboard by We Are Memory Keepers, and that's a really neat one because it's got a slider tool for the blade, and it's also got one for scoring. And they also carry the Score Pal, which I found crafters across the internet simply love that tool. So anyway, I use this plastic scoring tool that's included with this scoreboard, and I place my score line vertically, and I try to just match it up with one of these numbers and take my ruler just for extra guidance. You can also do it without the ruler. Just have to try to make sure that your scoring tool does not wobble out of the rut, I guess you could call these little lines, inlaid lines. Okay, so I've got my ruler up against my line, and I'm going to take this scoring tool and just go down and up, pressing down. Okay, let me show you a close-up of this. Alright, so it's kind of hard to see through the pencil line. I have this gray kneaded eraser, and let me see if I can erase that pencil line. Faded a bit, so it's inside the crease, that's why it's kind of hard to get to. But anyway, if you can see when I tilt the card, you can see that the score line has been made. On the back side is where you could see there's actually a little bit of a raised line here. So you can fold it either way. I like to fold it with a raised line here. I like to fold it, you would call this a valley fold because it's got a valley. So I fold it that way. And that gives you a nice clean line. And then with the same little plastic bone folder, they call these, or a scoring tool, then I like to kind of burnish that fold. And there we have a nice sharp fold. And you can more easily erase pencil lines when the fold is on the outside there. So that's how to use this scoring tool and how most scoreboards work. And I'm going to link below on my blog the other two scoreboards that I recommend from Paper Wishes. So I'm going to go ahead and score all of the other folding lines and start with decorating the pieces. I just wanted to show you more closely the score lines here. So you see that bumpy line? That's kind of what you can find on commercially made cards, and so it gives a nice professional fold. And I have this other bone folder that I usually use for burnishing, and so those are all the scored and folded lines. And I also erased the pencil lines around the edges just in case those are going to show, but I just wanted to show the difference between that and just scoring with a blade. And the blade will just break the fibers here instead of molding them to that little rut in the scoreboard, and it'll give a nice sharp fold as well, but on the inside you won't have this kind of bumpy line, if you will. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some decorating. So for the front flap of my card, which is gonna look like this, I'm going to cover this with this paper, and you can either cover the entire thing by gluing this to the back of the pattern paper and cutting exactly around here and along here, or if you want to have a black border around it or whatever color your cardstock is, you can use the template, which I'm going to use. And as you can see, it fits right inside this front flap shape, so you're going to get that nice thick black border around the paper piece. So I put this on the back of my pattern paper, and whenever I have a straight line on my template or a corner, I always like to line that up with the paper so that I use the least amount of paper possible, and I make the least amount of cuts that I need to make, just to save me some time and some paper. So I just need to trace these other two sides here, the curved edge and this straight side here. See that? Right on the edge of the paper. Now I'm just going to cut this out. Alright, and now I'm going to put some glue stick on the back. Like I'm running out of that one. And this fits right in the center of the flap. So you're getting a good 1/4 inch, I would say, of a border around the entire shape here. Now, additionally, you'll notice this template has you could put your pencil along the clear part here or along the colored part. Now, if you started out putting your pencil along the clear part to cut out your cardstock shape, you could hypothetically put your pencil along the colored part for the decorative paper, and then you would get a very narrow, probably less than a 1/16 inch border for this shape. So that's just a tip, but you'd have to plan ahead to make sure you do the outer line, because usually they recommend you do the inner line, but that's another option. Hope that makes sense. Next, I can decorate the bottom flap by just simply cutting out that inner rectangle. So I'm using this really pretty paper, and I'm going to use the bottom section here. So I've traced that rectangle in the bottom corner. Easiest way for me to cut that out is with my craft knife. This is a really neat retractable one. It has replaceable blades as well, and I'm going to link that below as well. My trusty ruler, and put that against the line. And I do need to get more replacement blades for this knife, but it's working just fine on paper. So there's that, and it fits nicely right there. It's looking good so far. I've got my outer piece covered with paper, and now I'm gonna cut out or punch out a die cut. And what I like to do is take my retractable craft knife here, and I like to actually cut through the nibs before I pop this out. So right here is that little nib that connects the die cut to the paper, and I just take my knife and simply run through it, just like that. And I find that if I do this, it is a little bit, takes a little bit more time than just popping it out. But if I do this, then when I pop out the die cut, then all of the edges are perfectly smooth and it looks like it cut all the way around. So that's just my method. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can always pop it out, leave the nibs, and then scratch them off, sand them off, cut them off. So lots of options there. And I know this is getting kind of really nitpicky and you kind of need a magnifying glass to do this, but I just want to show you, here's a nice smooth line all the way around the die cut. There's the front of it. So it's got that nice smooth, and you've already pre-cut those nibs so you don't have to cut them again. And here is a die cut that I have not done that to, and I'll show you the back. You can see that there are some tiny nibs here that need trimming. Either by scissors, and sometimes just occasionally if you pop it out, if it's kind of too attached, then the top coating of paper will get kind of ripped off a little bit, so you will have a white chunk out of your die cut. It doesn't happen too often, but I find that this method of pre-cutting the nibs avoids that problem. So just to show you the nibs here, and no nibs here. Now I'm just going to use this one for my card. So I've just cut out this Get Well Soon from my, there it is, greetings no, they're not die cuts, they're cutouts, so you have to cut them out manually, but they're really simple. They have really simple shapes and straight lines and solid lines, so easy to follow with your scissors or your craft knife. And this is going to go on the inner piece. So just to show you real quick, this piece is going to get taped to the flap. These flaps are going to be taped down, so the cord closes like this and then opens like this. So what I like to do is I open it all the way, I don't glue it yet, open all the way, draw a light pencil line just to show me how much of this piece I need to decorate. So I just did a pencil line, so this is about 1.25 inches or so above the bottom edge. This is the only part that's gonna ever be showing, so that's the only part you need to decorate. And I recommend on the inside panel, You want to keep this as smooth and flat as possible for ease of sliding up and down in the card. So don't put any foam tape or dimensional stickers or glitter glue stickles or anything like that on the inside, because you won't be able to slide it up and down smoothly. So here I simply glue to the center of this panel, and I want to make sure I do a real thorough job of gluing all the edges down so that they don't snag when I pull up the flap. And if you want to keep your cutting mat clean, definitely do this on top of some scrap paper. Yep, got all the edges there. So I'm going to glue that near the top here. And I did a get well soon greeting because it seems like 50% of the population is sick with either a cold or a cough or a tummy bug, or my son just got over a tummy bug, so he's getting better now. But everybody I talk to is either sick or their kids are sick, so this would be a cute little get well soon card for somebody in your life. And if you don't have anyone in your life that needs getting well, you've got all those other greetings to choose from. Okay, so that's nice, pretty flat there. Alright, now I'm going to use something I don't think I've used in my videos before, but this is the Glue Glider Pro. And you can use this, or you can use double-sided ultra tape. It comes in 1/4 and 1/2 inch widths. That works really well as well. But I have this just sitting around, so I thought I'd use it. And a lot of people love it for its ease of use. It does take a little bit of learning how to use it, but basically you just take it, carefully roll it on, and then when you want to release, you tilt it quickly to the side. You don't just lift it up, because then some of the adhesive will kind of pop up. So there's one strip, and I'm going to do another one closer to the fold here. And it does take some aiming work to get it to go where you want it. So it's shiny there with the glue, and this is permanent adhesive, so it's really strong. You will not be able to lift this off or smudge it around to reposition it, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to carefully take my card here, my flap here. I want this to almost touch this panel, lined up, centered on my card flap. So let's see, I'm going to do it just about a 1/16 or just a hair in from this fold. Try and make it centered and press down. And then these folds need to be glued down as well, so I'm going to do a strip of this Permatack, it's called. And these cartridges also come out when you're done with them. They pop out and you can buy replacements for them. They're really cool. So I'm going to do a strip here on each of my flaps or my folded tabs. And once you get the hang of using this, it's actually really nice. It makes things a lot quicker, and you don't need a lot of it because it's really strong. So I'm going to leave this up for now to assemble the side flaps, pinching them inward so they don't accidentally stick and they're out. And then just press down hard on each side, and then you've got a permanent bond. So there's your pocket. Now what I found in past pull-up cards, if I just sort of say pull this out just slightly to loosen that up to give a little more room for the pocket to slide in, it slides much easier. So now I'm simply going to bend this a little bit and slide in my pocket, my pull-up. So here we go, let's test it out. Get well soon, and closes smoothly. Open, close, open, close. And it is from the side. It simply pulls that up and pushes it back down. So you can mail this flat And it is a square, so if you have a square envelope, it will take extra postage. I always found that really annoying. But if you mail it in, say, like a 5x7 inch envelope, or slightly bigger than that, it won't require extra postage, which is silly. But that's the way it works here in the US. And I'm now going to decorate the top of my card. I've cut out these pieces so far. Now this thinking of you is from the greetings and cutouts sheet, and then this yellow one in the back here is actually a die cut, so I've glued this on top of it. And there's a die cut, and then there's another die cut, and this strange looking thing is actually a cute little button in a fun shape, which I'm going to thread with this yellow ribbon. Now this doesn't really go in easily, but my trick to doing this is to stick a corner in and grab it with your fingernails on the other side, and you can usually grab enough of it that it'll come all the way through. Do the same for the other hole. And if it's too tough, you can always cut a nice clean angle so that you can stick it through easily. So I've got a short amount threaded through this little button, and I'm going to just tie it in a knot. Now this kind of ribbon gets frayed pretty easily, so if you want that look, great, but if you don't, there's several different ways you can stop this from fraying and get a nice clean edge. I like to use Eileen's tacky glue, and I go on the back where it's not going to show too much and just dab a bit of glue on each side where I'm going to cut. And put that away. Oh, by the way, they have tacky glue now that stands upside down, so that's genius. Right now I'm just using a glass jar to store that so all the glue goes to the tip. But now I just rub this in with my finger so that it touches all the fibers in the ribbon and gets all into the ribbon there. Makes it nice and stiff. Tacky glue is nice and easy to rub off of your mat or your fingers, whichever the case may be. And then once that dries a little bit, I just take my sharp scissors and I cut the ends where I glued at an angle. Now another option, if you don't want to wait for this to dry or anything like that, you can cut the ribbon. If it's this kind of polyester ribbon, you can go ahead and cut it and then use a lighter to slightly melt the edges so they won't fray. Or they have this really cool tool called the Imagicut, I think it's called, ribbon cutter. And I'll link that below as well in my blog. If you're watching this just on my YouTube channel, please go over to paperwishes.com/simplyann and you can see all the details on my blog. Alright, so there I have them, nice clean edges. And these are going to be arranged on the front of my card, something like this. So I'll go ahead and glue/foam tape those down. Alright, so I also added this little yellow flower die cut, which is separate from that flower. But this is how I arranged it on my card. I foam taped everything that you see here. And so this pulls up like so. But now, last but not least, I need to add my stickles. One of my favorite ways to add sparkle to any project. So what I'm going to do is decorate a couple of the flowers on here. One tip for working with stickles is have a paper towel handy to make sure, and also I put the lid back on here. I tap it on my desk to try and get all the bubbles to come out of the tip and for all of the actual stickles material to go into the tip. There we go. Then I open the lid and then I squeeze a little bit onto a paper towel just to make sure it's working smoothly. Then I move on to my project. And with stickles, you just have to keep a steady hand. It's exactly like using puffy paint for fabric, except this is on paper. It's glitter glue, if you will. And I'm just gonna follow some of the lines of the flower. And you just want to apply even pressure to the bottle. Just squeeze it just gently and try to move the tip while you're squeezing. So just like that, and I do recommend dragging the tip as opposed to pushing it, because that will make your line kind of messy. So make sure you don't touch each previous line that you've made, because stickles does take a while to dry. However, if you do, you can sort of rub it off really quick. It won't look perfect, but it will kind of save you from making a little mess on your card. But I'm going to go ahead and continue here. Alright, as you can see, I did not do every single line that you see, but I did a good amount of it. And I'm going to also add a few sparkles to these flowers as well. For the yellow ones, I'll just add a few to the ends of these little lines here. Just the little dots of color. And for this more darker pink, I'm going to outline some edges. Alright, I think that's a sufficient amount of sparkle. Let me back up for you to see a little better. And there you have it. My sparkly Thinking of You Get Well pull-up card. Now I'm gonna definitely set this aside to dry, and rule of thumb for me is overnight, because then I definitely know it's gonna dry. But it'll probably be dry within 2 to 3 hours, depending how thick you put the stickles on. And you just have to touch it lightly to test to see if they're completely dry. If they kind of press down a bit, they're not dry inside, because the outside dries before the inside. So you definitely want to let that thoroughly dry, because I've had it where it's almost dry and then you ruin the whole thing just by touching it. So just be aware of that. Now, opening the card, get well soon, nice and simple. Close the card, thinking of you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please stay tuned for today's bundle and join me again next week for another fun project. Thank you so much for watching. In the bundle, you will be getting the Thistle Stickles, bottle of stickles, which matches perfectly with the Daydream Artful Card Kit, which you will also be getting. This Artful Card Kit includes 7 pattern papers. They are single-sided, so they are white on the back. And on the front, here's a beautiful design. We've got some sort of a geometric pattern, is reminiscent of some Native American designs actually, and we've got some floral patterns, and it's also reminiscent of the 80s, because and if you're a fan of the 80s, awesome. This has got some kind of a neon pink and yellow and some turquoise in there, triangle pattern on black. So we've got a very bright color combo there, very fun stripe. And then we have the sheet of cutouts, which these are for greetings. We have lots of greetings for you to choose from, all kinds of occasions, and then half of them are left blank. So you can put people's names in them, choose your own greeting, different messages, etc. And then, oh, and by the way, all these pages are 8.5 by 11, so perfect for card making. And if you do 8.5 by 11 scrapbooking, this would be awesome as well, because you get all 3 of these die cut sheets. So these have all kinds of shapes and sizes of die cuts, and we've got some sort of woven designs along with the floral and the arrows, and here's a chevron, a zigzag border. This is a cool border. It kind of looks funny, but when you punch it out, it looks really cool. It's kind of a almost a lacy border. And here, these things are called dream catchers, I think. So that's the name of this whole Artful Card Kit. Is called Daydream. So we've got some really pretty shapes and sizes of labels there. And here's the third sheet, and it's got more flowers. Another dream catcher upside down. And I really like these style of flowers. I think they're really pretty. And then there's some really unique shapes in there for your greetings and your layering. And also another label or border. And there's also in the bundle this set of Daydream ribbons, which match perfectly. I love this glittery ribbon. That's awesome. And there's this really pretty iridescent yellow twill. And a bunch of others to choose from in that set. In addition to the Daydream Artful Card Kit and ribbons and stickles, we have the Pull-Up Card Template by Teresa Welch. And she designed this really cool card that actually pulls up, as you have seen in my video, and it includes all of the instructions you need for the card. So those 4 items are in this week's bundle, and I once again thank you for watching.